Hi everyone! So today I am going to be doing a summer 2021 wrap-up video. This will consist of all the books that I've read from the middle of June, from when summer starts, all the way until the fall equinox, so the end of September. I've had a really great couple of reading months. I've read some pretty great books, I've reread some great books, and yeah, I just really want to talk about them today, so let's get into it. So the first series I reread, or the first book I reread, was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I talked a little bit about this book last video. This book is about a character named Simon Snow, and he is the chosen one. He has a lot of magic, and he is roommates with his enemy Baz, and they essentially go on this mission to try to find out who killed Baz's mother, and also to defeat the humdrum, which is sucking all of the magic out of the magical atmosphere. I really love this book. It is amazing, it's so good. This was a reread, like I said earlier, to prep for the third one, which I will be talking a little bit about in this video. Not that much, but a little. So yeah, I rated this book 5 out of 5 stars. The next one is Wayward Sun by Rainbow Rowell, the second book in the Simon Snow trilogy. This book follows Simon, Baz, and their friend Penny to America, and I'm not really going to talk that much about what it entails because I don't want to spoil anyone, but really great extension to the Carry On series. I really love it. It's definitely a little bit slower. It's a lot more on the contemporary side of things, and I did think that it was kind of inconsistent a little bit in terms of plot and how the series connects as a whole with the entire trilogy, but I still really love it. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. It is still one of my favorite series, and I just still really enjoy it. The next book I read was Any Way the Wind Blows by Rainbow Rowell, the third and final book in the Simon Snow trilogy. This one I'm not going to talk too much about because I feel like it will spoil the series if you haven't read the other two. But to give a really quick, brief summary, essentially it just follows the characters back to England, where they really just learn more about themselves and their place in the world. This book I've been waiting for 13 months, and I just absolutely loved it. It definitely was a little bit inconsistent in terms of the plot for all 3 books. So don't go into this series expecting the plot to be consistent for all 3 books. Expect the character storylines, though, and the internal stuff to be consistent to all 3 books, because the internal storylines throughout the entire trilogy are amazing. The external plotline, let's just say that you can tell that Rainbow Rowell is a contemporary writer. But this book was still really great. I still rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I wish I can keep seeing these characters, but I'm also content with their story, and I don't feel like I really need any more. The next book I read was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I rated this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. So I'm actually really happy that I chose to read this book when I did. I just started college, so this was one of the main reasons why I wanted to read this book. It follows Kath as she's about to enter her freshman year of college, and she doesn't want to say goodbye to the Simon Snow series, a fictional series set in her world that is written by the author Gemma T. Leslie, and then actually, I'm sure many of you know this, Rainbow Rowell loved that series so much that is the reason why she wrote the Carry On trilogy. But the Carry On trilogy and Fangirl, the Simon Snow portions in Fangirl, are really not connected at all. I mostly wanted to read this because, again, like I said, I just started college and I really relate to Kath. I really thought that it would make my transition much easier going into college, and it really did. I'm so thankful that I chose to read this book when I did, and also because I had just read the Carry On trilogy, and any little content with Simon and Baz, I just of course was going to savor and eat right up. This book was really great. I really loved the characters, and I am really so happy that I got to read it, and yeah, it was a really great novel. I will say that the main reason I did not give it a full 5 out of 5 rating, though, was unfortunately because there were some parts, especially in the middle of the novel, where I felt like it would be really slow, and there were times where I would be reading a really big chunk of Kath's story, and then all of a sudden it would just be thrust back into the world of mages, and that would feel a little bit disjointed at times. But overall, it was really great. And again, I highly recommend to anyone who, is also going into college and struggling with that transition, or just in general, if you want to read a nice, happy-go-lucky contemporary, because it really is that as well. So the next series that I want to talk about today is the Raven Cycle series by Maggie Stiefler. I am going to kind of combine this entire portion because honestly, all of these books really blend together in my head. I did really like this series. Overall, I would say it was a solid 4 out of 5 read. They consist of the Raven Boys, which I gave 4 out of 5, the Dream Thieves, which I gave 4.5 out of 5, Blue Lily, Lily Blue, which I gave 4 out of 5, and the Raven King, which I gave 4.5 out of 5. This series follows a girl named Blue who comes from a family of psychics, but she doesn't really have that power herself. And she's been told for many, many years that she would eventually cause the death of her true love. So she meets the Raven Boys. They go on this mission together to try to find this Raven King. And, along the way, they all become really great friends, and they really discover different things about each other. I really, really loved that this series uses the found family trope. The found family trope is one of my favorite tropes in YA. I really, really love it, and this series did a great job with it. I really, really wanted to rate the final book in this series 5 stars. However, I did have a couple of issues. I thought that there were a couple open-ended notes that I wish would have been resolved, and a lot of questions that I have. But overall, I loved all the characters. Rowan was probably my favorite. I loved his arc throughout the entire series, and I am still considering maybe reading the Dreamer trilogy. I haven't picked it up yet because the 3rd book isn't out yet, and I don't want to read it when the 3rd book isn't out yet. I do not want to have the same situation that I had with Carry On with this series, because I really don't want to put myself through that again. But I might read it eventually when it's out, because I would love to continue to read a little bit more with these characters. The next book that I want to talk about is Aristotle and Datta Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Sans. I am sorry if I pronounced that wrong. This book follows 2 boys, Aristotle, also known as Ari, and Datta, and they essentially just want to discover the secrets of the universe. They want to discover more about themselves and where they are in the world and their place. It really was just such a great coming-of-age story. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I really highly recommend this story to anyone. I was interested in reading it a couple months ago, and then recently found out that there was a sequel coming out in October, and so naturally that made me want to pick the book up even faster, and I'm really happy I did, because it really is such a great story. So those are all the books that I read for fun, I guess you can say, during the summer. However, there was one book that I read for one of my classes that I really want to mention. I just finished it last week. It was an incredible read, and I'm sure some of you have heard of it, and that book is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. This book follows an autistic boy named Christopher. He's 15 years old, and he is on a mystery to discover the murder of Mrs. Wellington, his neighbor's dog. I really, really loved this book. It was one of my favorite books I've ever had to read for a class. I typically don't include books I've had to read for school on these lists, but it was just so great and so heartwarming that I just had to include it. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. I just absolutely loved this story. I loved Christopher's character. I loved a lot of the other characters in the novel, how they all communicated with Christopher. It was really such a great read. I've seen the play, and I highly, highly recommend for anyone really who just wants to read a really sweet educational story. Those are all the books that I've read in the summer of 2021. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.